International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUL for life. We are IUL.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Isai Sipunga. In the news tonight, Otoya youth speak out. Abraham Yambo Primary School celebrates the Day of the Namibian Child. Criminals use tricks to disable electrical fences. Farmer diversifies farming operations due to drought. And Roundup, Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports, and the weather. Youth from the Otoya informal settlement at Wolfish Bay are dreaming of having a normal life again. The teenagers, who have been living in tents with their families since their shelter burned down a year ago, says they are being bullied at school and that studying and doing homework is a struggle as they have no electricity.
It's really tough because of the coldness. This coldness is very hard, and like if you're studying, the light is very bright, but still it's still cold. So the time that you come here to study, it's like really cold. And then it's the night time, so you'll be here freezing, so you won't concentrate very well. You won't concentrate very well. So it's very difficult. Apparently people got lights, but it did not reach this side of us. So we still have to come here this side and come study at the light, and but still it's very cold. You know, like this jacket will not even like beat the coldness. The coldness will still go inside there. So it's very cold, and so the things will not go in, but they will fly with the wind.
The youth of Otoya, who currently live in tents with their parents and having to study under harsh conditions, say they dream of studying in normal houses and wear clothes that are not wrinkled or wet, adding that they await to receive news that they will be moving into newly built houses. The teenagers know that they usually have to sit under the street light to study as their candles run out fast.
Actually, here in the tents, the way we studied, it was really tough because even if it was through the night, it was dark, and then you would use candles. If the candle ran out, you would actually use, like, you will not even study, and if it was in the test, you will just go fail because you did not study anything. And through the day, it's really difficult. If the time of wind, you will not be able to study in the tent because the whole tent is just full of wind. So it is really hard studying through the tent. And by school, the others will be spoken you. Now you stay in the tents and stuff. They're saying you guys are going to get houses, but you're not, and those stuff. So you really feel bad. You will not concentrate sometimes. Actually, when we go there, like the school uniform is not ironed. The things are still like lined like that. You see here the shirt is like this because there's no light in the morning when you're going to school. So they would really ask, why are you looking like this and like this? And so you like, no, I don't have an iron at home. How come you don't have an iron at home? And stuff. So they will not understand. But later on they started understanding. So it's very hard because here there is no even not even a shower, a bathing shower. So you have to bath out there. And for toilets, the toilets have been paid. So if you don't have $1, that means you'll have to use something else. So it's really hard in these tents. My friends at school really used to tease. Actually, not even friends, like the girls that used to come here for soccer, to come watch soccer here. One was called Lydiana. She will usually say that, I don't stay in the tents, so you must keep quiet, I don't stay in the tents and stuff like that. She's like, no, as we even have electricity, you guys will stay there for the tents, you will never get out and stuff. So I just used to ignore, but then she will have to go now. The whole class will be like a laughing stock.
One of the parents, Selma Hamunyela, notes that it's painful having to see her daughter's grades go down as she has always been a good learner.
Sila should defang gani na wala no kana ta kilong no mga paisi nga han yung ditete ndo to ka na ilong la ko la sina ko ni makasyon. Alsi na wala ka. Parang ucap pangre tu tayo tayo bicara tayo tung ngali itu jam meta dah tu kan. Kasi kung bigaw na sila sa kibera na iman. Audi can order Sidika, Pakala Hapits no other. Mala grade 8 and no Papitangaho, Malay Napita Langashinareka, Namilo Mukonga now. We don't make a single volunteer that do not feel like the end of purposes. Malay Nasa National Kunana, Mopepi, the British and the Kapu and Omega. Nasifa to go to the Muka, no people in the Kandadi. I thought the Nava Sala Takana, Naki, Nakan go Moika, Unakudenga, as principal at the dinner. Child in Ingano Scholar, you lie, you could try a now. Kapokala Americana, no grade 8, Kapokola Tanibana, the making up. Mantiping and every how suffering and obligated.
Before the tragic fire event, most of the children used to study at their friends nearby, where they also helped to iron their school clothes. The Irongo Regional Governor states that the relevant stakeholders that are working on the housing project are busy with the final check-ups and necessary arrangements, adding that they are working to ensure that the fire victims would be moved in very soon.
Sandals, cool prices, only at Pep. Women's sandals are just $59.99. Kids sandals are only $49.99. Plus, get a double deal on plush towels for just $89.99 each. Buy any two, save 20. Summer fun for everyone. Life's better with Pep.
Every Saturday at 7 p.m., you can stay true to Namibia sounds with the Valentine's True Music Sessions. Only on 99 FM. Stay tuned. Stay true. There's no wrong way. Valentine's. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
The Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Child Welfare celebrated the Day of the Namibian Child by visiting the Abraham Iyambo School and offered sanitary pads and other necessities worth 10,000 Namibia dollars to the school.
I'm Jennifer Shikeni. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks speech and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this day celebration happen. Since it's a Namibian Child's Day, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all the Namibian children a happy day of a Namibian child. Thank you.
Commemorating under the theme 30 years after the adoption of the Charter, accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2040 for an Africa fit for children. The Day of the Namibian Child was celebrated at the Abraham Iyambo Primary School in Havana to give back to vulnerable children and those heavily affected by the impact of COVID-19.
As a way of celebrating the Day of the Namibian Child, the Ministry under Child Welfare has donated pads, sanitary pads for the girl child, some food to contribute towards the school's soup kitchen, some, mainly it's the food, and also just making sure that we are in COVID times. We also donated the sanitizers for the kids. I think it's always good to celebrate the Day of the Namibian Child because it empowers the child. A child has the right to be in school, to be in a clean environment, to be supported in all ways possible. Sometimes you might think it's all about the love or the money, but it constitutes a lot to take care of a child. So it's worth celebrating this day and remembering that we still need to put an input in our child. It takes a village to raise a child. That's why we are coming into this constituency and showing that we always remember them. So yes, this day was actually a good day and we feel blessed to be part and parcel of the celebrations as a ministry.
The head of Department for Languages at the school said that they are celebrating the day to showcase the significance of a child and say that the rights of a child must always be remembered and make sure not only to educate a child but also to make sure they are protected and safe.
Today is merely an auspicious event in the life of the Namibian child. We were actually gathered here today to commemorate the Day of the Namibian Child and to actually showcase the significance of a child. to somehow remind people that we're just not here to give love to the child, but we also need to keep them away from social evils in the society as well. So that was basically what it was all about, and to try and reinforce the rights of a Namibian child or children and their responsibilities as well. Sometimes the parents are also not in a position to like take proper care of them. Like you have seen a while back, the Namibian reported, the house under the rock, where one of our learners is also living there, which is a condition that should not actually be that way. So the challenges are there, a lot of them, and we're just urging the Ministry of Education and perhaps the Ministry of Gender also to assist us in matters that are beyond our control. But I'd like to actually give gratitude to the Ministry of Gender because they approach us with this initiative, and they have donated items worth 10,000 to the school, which includes toiletries, and our learners are in need of that, and also some food items towards the soup kitchen. So yeah.
The school had a human rights play by the learners, reminding them their rights and their responsibilities as learners.
This is my favorite gear, cause it speaks for me and all my brothers. Nivea Men Black and White Deo. With 5 times Deo action to protect you and your favorite gear from stains. Try Nivea's #1 anti-stain deodorant. Nivea Men, it starts with you.
Criminals, according to law enforcement, are using various tricks to disable electrical fences before invading homes. Sergeant Johannes Mvula from the Windhoek City Police urges homeowners to upgrade their electric fences and alarm systems to reduce the probability of criminals breaking in. You might have installed an electric fence thinking your home is protected. Well, think again. This clip from a CCTV camera shows burglars climbing through what appears to be an electric fence. According to Sergeant Johannes Mvula, there's a method burglars use to disable the system.
This happens because criminals take a branch of a tree, then they put it between the electrical fence, electrical wires. So then it trips. It's surprising that in most cases this tripping of electricity does not report to the homeowner. They will always say, no, we didn't hear anything, and we didn't hear that there was a background at home. That we cannot do much because the alarms does not lie with us. Always have lights around your house, especially the sensor light, that so if somebody comes in, you get a notification on your phone that somebody is tampered with your electrical fence.
Mvula says the biggest mistake most homeowners make is going on vacation without alerting the neighbors or having someone house it.
A lot of house breaking are taking place. Not that the city police is not there, but the city police is doing all its best, particularly with the areas of the city south CBD where we have quite a number of house breaking taking place, and these are taking place mostly at the suburb, where especially the Hockland Park, the Eros, the Windhoek, and the western suburb, where house breaking is mostly taking place during the day. That is in Khomasdal. Perhaps what we can tell the public is that we really need to work together as one in order to fight this crime and criminal activities. A lot of houses are left empty when people are going for the weekend. We just want to urge a member of the public to make sure that when you go for the weekend, always make sure that the house is occupied. There is someone that is taking place, and they must always have a police number ready, so that should anything happen, they should be able to communicate or rather to contact the city police immediately, and we will do the investigation.
Mvula advises homeowners to inspect security systems for faults. He further discourages residents from sharing vacation plans on social media, as it only creates opportunities for burglars. David Govasep, a small-scale farmer who farms in the Hardap region, always had a strong desire to get into farming since he was a boy. In 2012, he began farming with livestock such as cows, goats, and sheep, but the 2019 drought resulted in him losing nearly all his livestock. The devastating impact of the drought has made him diversify his farming operations towards horticulture.
So I started growing crops first in Windhoek in my backyard, small scale. And already when I saw that yield, it really evoked my interest, and then I thought maybe I should take it to farmlands. And coming to farmlands, because of the exposure and the research that I did, I realized that it's not something that you just jump into and cultivate big pieces of land at once. It's something that you need to grow into, something that you need to really know, because you can make so many mistakes. If you are not sure, if you are not experienced and knowledgeable about the various crops, the diseases that prevail and so on, and even the fertility of the soil. So as the resources permit, I managed to start a small greenhouse structures, which I will show you later on, which are more or less 10 by 10 cubicles, where I would grow a variety of crops, mainly for subsistence at the house and maybe even to sell.
Govasep now grows crops such as spinach, carrots, beetroot and herbs at a small portion of land near Rebof. He, however, notes that farmers in the Hardap region face many obstacles, including a lack of water for irrigation.
Well, we and even talking about myself and my experience, we are faced by an array of challenges, but the most important this far is access to potable water, enough irrigation. I have dreams, we have plans to expand, but we are not able to expand. We end up producing only under a hectare and a half, because we are not able to expand. Number one, because if you expand, you are not able to give your crops water. These areas, normally it's dry, so we only have water during the rainy season, and this is where we can capitalize. But otherwise, we need assistance with potable, especially with all this sun. Maybe solar systems, other energy forms of access to water.
He further notes that many farmers are confronted with pest problems and are unable to keep the infestation under control.
Pest control has always been an issue, especially with many of the other leaf plants and so on. But otherwise, I realized that in this very project site, what I prefer is, or the better yield so far has been the beetroot. The beetroot and of course the champion spinach. I've been growing spinach and beetroot along with a little bit of herbs here and there. They yield good results so far. So I think the learning here is, you need to master one or two key crops in which you should venture into, because it's like the more variety you have, the more chances, or the more you are at risk in terms of exposure to pest, or even just to manage the project site, because they may have different kinds of pests and you would need different interventions along that way. Some may need more fertilizer, some may need less water and so on. So the management becomes an issue, and normally this comes with cost. So it's better to look into one main crop per season and then maybe switch between seasons to the other crop, because as it is suggested under conservation agriculture, is that we need to intercrop, or at least we need to change the crops. So maybe change from season to season, and as opposed to just having a lot of varieties which you cannot manage at the same time, and it's difficult to find a market for too many crops, and then you'll end up having losses.
According to Govasep, the general supply system for small-scale farmers should also be looked into and be improved.
Brings you big summer savings with women's dresses just $89.99 and girls' dresses from $54.99. Babies' dresses are only $32.99. Hot summer, cool savings, cuter dresses. Now everyone can pep up their summer. Life's better with Pep.
In other leading stories, the delegation of the European Union in Namibia, in partnership with the University of Namibia, hosted a video training workshop at the UNAM Oshakati campus. The training was delivered by 2 local film producers who trained 9 participants on how to make films with their cell phones. The 5-day workshop focused on video production basics, production management, script writing, video editing and filming with cell phones. The workshop was concluded with a short film written, produced and directed by the participants who also acted in the film. The workshop forms part of the European Union Film Festival 2021, scheduled to take place over a period of 2 months from the 6th of October until the 1st of December. Her Excellency Senika Ntila, EU Ambassador to Namibia, says apart from the film screening, they have added a component of skills development and knowledge transfer, adding that the training workshop is meant to strengthen the capacities of upcoming filmmakers and empower them to tell stories from their own perspective. The EU Film Festival is aligned to the cultural strategy pursued by Namibia and the EU, aimed at promoting and developing arts and culture, fostering cross-cultural dialogue and inclusivity, contributing to regional and international integration. And the US government donated 100,620 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine as part of its global efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The donated vaccines are part of the US pledge to initially provide at least 25 million of 80 million doses globally to Africa. The US government coordinated closely with the African Union, Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and COVAX on the country allocations. In addition to vaccines, the US government has rapidly deployed more than $541 million in health, humanitarian and economic support to more than 40 countries in sub-Saharan Africa to fight the pandemic. They're also providing development finance investments to support vaccine manufacturing on the continent and continue to build on decades of US investment in African health infrastructure for response to this pandemic and prevention of the next.
Dear teachers, we know all the hard work you put in every day to make sure our kids get the best education possible. It's also our goal here at One Africa TV's #LearnOn1. That's why we bring free quality supplementary lessons that are 100% Namibian, complements of NMH's MyZone. Lessons include early childhood development programs and primary school lessons. These air on One Africa TV every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
Why do we do it? Cover up, tone down, hide, instead of choosing boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in with Nivea Rich Nourishing. Our triple layered care of deep moisture serum, natural almond oil, and vitamin E enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Choose to wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Rich Nourishing.
Joseph Shifeni standing by for today's edition of Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm your host, Joseph Shifeni. The Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, in collaboration with various partners, launched the second phase of a campaign that is aimed at promoting the consumption of locally produced products and services this week. The Trade Minister, Lucia Ipumbu, called on local industries to partake in the initiative after the first phase led to an increase in sales for locally produced products. The Buy Local, Grow Local Namibia campaign was launched last year in October as part of the Trade Ministry's Growth at Home strategy. With the domestic economy still recovering from the pandemic, the Minister of Trade said the need to invest and support local small and medium enterprises will lead to a thriving economy that is self-sustainable.
I'm sure all of you gathered here this morning have witnessed the devastation caused by the pandemic, both individually, but more that was felt by the business community, which ultimately resulted in our economic activities being crumbled and a loss of income and jobs by many of our employees. Let us therefore take a pride in supporting our local businesses, especially the MSMEs, who has over the year faced challenges and many stumbling blocks to access the market. We have drawn good lessons from this pandemic, and we know if COVID could continue, which is not our wish, it's going to be worse. But at this critical moment, let us learn to be self-sufficient, because if we are to phase out especially the consumer goods, and surely we rely on South Africa and other partners for supply of our consumer goods, various global communities as are affected by these calamities might not be able to come to our aid.
The UN coordinator to Namibia commended the other partners for their contribution in the project. That includes the Namibia Trade Forum, the Namibian newspaper, Team Namibia, and Weatherman & Co.
On behalf of the UN system in Namibia, I commend the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, Team Namibia, Namibia Trade Forum, the Namibian newspaper, and the Weatherman & Co. for bringing their expertise and experience to ensure a successful launch and implementation of the national Buy Local, Grow Namibia campaign. This is a testament of innovative partnership to help grow the Namibian economy. At the UN system in Namibia, this campaign is close to our hearts. I'm extremely pleased to see how this campaign has advanced to phase 2.
The Namibian newspaper editor Tangeni Amupadi said the informal sector needs support to reduce the import of products from other countries.
We have added new media platforms. We are starting a radio station next month. We have been producing online shows equivalent to television. So I think with so many more platforms, we can play a broader role in making Namibians aware of what is there, what is available. So please, traders, producers, use us, alert us, push us to get your work out, your information out. Otherwise, you will only be talking to a small circle. Northern Namibia, for instance, where the majority of Namibians live, and I'm talking about the whole strip from the Atlantic towards Zambia and Zimbabwe and Botswana. We probably have more than 70% of the population based there. There's no reason why with that land we still have to import mahangu, which is a main staple, or maize. I mean, mahangu sometimes I think we import, the Namibia Agronomic Board can help me here, but we import that from India. For goodness sake, why? If we are saying there's so much land that we can provide space to produce tobacco. Before we produce tobacco, how about we produce food to keep ourselves fed?
The second phase will build on the momentum created in the first phase, with focus on capacity building initiatives and support for the creative industry. Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Great combo deal from Choppies! Choppies, great value for your money.
Are you struggling to breathe? Breathe easy with new Zinfarm Lung Guard. Zinfarm Lung Guard promotes comfortable breathing in patients with asthma, smoker's lung, and athletes. With a specialized formula of antioxidants, keep your airways open, support healthy blood circulation to your lungs, and enhance normal breathing. It's Fabufarm's new Zinfarm Lung Guard, supporting your respiratory and lung health. Now available at all leading pharmacies countrywide. A proud Fabufarm product.
Now let's have a look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. Whether you're going for a jog, brisk walk, or just hanging out in an isolated area, please be cautious, warns Sergeant Johannes Mvula from the Windhoek City Police, as lately there's been an increase in violent robberies around the city. Amy commended the City Police for their commitment in keeping the city safe. Hans noted that more armed undercover police officers are needed in these areas. Sylvia suggests that bushes in areas be cleared. While Susie noted that Windhoek is not safe at all. And that's all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day, only on Today on 1.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders, invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
Every Saturday at 7 p.m., you can stay true to Namibia Sounds with the Valentine's True Music Sessions. Only on 99 FM. Stay tuned. Stay true. There's no wrong way. Valentine's. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Castro Lumbu is standing by for today's sports update.
Welcome and thank you for joining me, Castro Ulumbu, for this evening's edition of Sports on One. Before jetting off for South Africa for the 9th edition of the 2021 COSAFA Women's Championship, interim coach of the women's senior football team, Woody Jacobs, announced an addition to the senior squad. The player that is newly added hails from the coastal town of Walvis Bay. Jacobs spoke on the highly rated attacker as well as preparations for AFCON qualifiers to be played in October. Today on One Sports has more on this story. Namibia's senior women's football national team is currently in neighboring South Africa, where they are expected to participate in the 2021 COSAFA Women's Championship. Before flying out to South Africa and finalizing his final 23 women's squad for the games, today on One Sports caught up with a new gaffer at the helm to talk about the COSAFA Cup as well as his team selection for the games.
We are looking at injuries, like I said, and we have 27 girls plus the South African-based Chironisa Maklobo, that's playing for Stellenbosch, the Marty's university team, and we've included her in the squad, and we'll have a look at her. Where I spoke to our coach, and coach to coach, we had a very open talk, and I believe it won't be a train smash to look at her, although we don't know much about her. We don't know also the fact that she hails from Walvis Bay, but it's a good addition for me. Because there might be a hidden gem or undiscovered gem that we haven't had this far. So we're going to look at her, and we're going to look at her in the 3 days that we'll be preparing towards the match, and see if we can include her in the team. But so far, all systems go, beside the few injuries that we have, and to what I believe is key players, and we need to monitor them and see how best, because this is not just a once-off competition that we want to go and do well. We want to do well in this competition because I believe that the team has the quality to do well. But also we want to prepare and use these games for a good preparation so that we take on Tanzania. That will be also at the same competition. So we'll have a look at them. We'll look at analyze them closely and come up with a game plan.
In addition, Woody Jacobs also highlighted his intent to utilize the COSAFA Cup tournament as preparation for the upcoming women's AFCON qualifiers set for October, where the Warriors will face Tanzania.
The bigger prize for me would be the African Women Championship qualifier against Tanzania, and we want to go past that round and face the winner between Malawi and Zambia. And who said we cannot dream of qualifying for the first time for the African Women Championship, unlike in 2014 when we qualified as host. So yes, we want to do well, and I think it's work in progress. It's all coming together slowly but surely, and the girls has surprised me with the quality that they have, and it's a nice feeling to be part of the national team, and the girls in particular. They listen, they take a lot in, and they execute. Not to what you expect, because I'm used to men's football, and the quality might be higher, but the girls has really impressed me with the way that they are looking. All in all, it has gone well. You know that with any new training, there's also a lot of challenges that we face in terms of injuries, and we had a few, but we're nursing them, and I think we are managing them well enough for the girls to be ready when the big day arrives.
The Brave Gladiators will open their campaign at the 9th edition of the COSAFA Women's Championship on the 30th of September against competition invitees Uganda, and will face powerhouse Zambia 3 days later. The Gladiators will then conclude their group games against Eswatini on the 5th of October. And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again next time for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks, Castro, for that update. Now let's have a look at the weather forecast.
A look at the weather forecast. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and warm in the Klaras region. Elsewhere partly cloudy and hot to very hot. The coast partly cloudy and mild with showers in the south, and the wind moderate to fresh southwesterly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
That's all we have for you. Join us again for a repeat at 9:30 this evening in the Omnibus, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. From me, Isai Sipunga, and the rest of the team. Till next time, good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
India's Ranthambore Reserve in Rajasthan is home to the rare Bengal tigers. Every year, John Isaac, an Indian-born photographer, travels from New York City to document the lives of these majestic animals.
In the last 10 years, I think my interest has grown tenfold, and I'm very particular about the survival of the tigers.
His goal is to make sure that people everywhere know about the grave danger Bengal tigers face: extinction. John holds seminars and photographic exhibitions from his visits to Ranthambore to raise awareness of the plight of these tigers. He's currently working on a book to document their dilemma due to an increasing human population encroaching on their territory. According to John and wildlife experts, each tiger needs as much as 9 square kilometers to survive, just under 4 square miles. The relationship between tigers and people has always been difficult, but now, with much less territory to roam, tigers often wander into human settlements.
The conflict between the villagers and the tigers has always been there, and then government tries to compensate. If a tiger kills a goat or a cow, they pay a certain amount to the villagers.
In the past, tigers used migration corridors or routes followed by wildlife for travel between summer and winter habitats. Now these pathways have been taken over by people who use them as living quarters and to reap firewood.
We are trying to work with the communities living around and trying to reduce their forest dependency so that we can conserve this corridor patch for the smooth and easy movement of tigers.
Jamuna Devi, a farmer, lives near one of the migratory corridors. She used to depend on the forest for grazing pastures. Now, thanks to a World Wildlife Fund initiative, Jamuna no longer needs to rely on the forest for her family's survival. The secret? Introducing new alternative crops closer to her home.
साल बोया हमने खुद ने, और ये तो अभी यही साल बोया है। ये आया होया कांदा है हम 25 रोज को तो तारीख को तो बोया ही है, और रोज में अंतर तो आगा भूलने लगा.
The success of this project has led to even more changes. Jamuna decided to plant fodder for her cattle on her excess land to further preserve the habitat of the tigers. She has also switched to cooking gas so that she doesn't have to collect forest wood for fuel.
जंगल में सब दुनिया ने जाबे छोड़ दिया तो सब बे होगी, कोई काम नहीं करा, लकड़ी को भी नहीं करा, जंगल में जाने से भी परेशान है दुनिया। गैस भेज दिया सबन के घर घर में, वे सभी सिलेंडर पकड़ते हैं और रुपया को कोई समझते ही नहीं है। अब भीतर भरा लावा।
Climate change also has a direct impact on the habitat of tigers.
The last 2 or 3 years, they say, there's been a drought. The rains have not been regular.
Climate change is a serious problem in this country, even it's in the continent. So keeping these forest areas alive and protected is the only solution. This year we have raised a nursery of 10,000 saplings. Forest department have shown their interest. They bought around 2,000-3,000 saplings.
The idea is to plant new trees to replace those lost to severe weather conditions and human activity. Poaching used to be a major threat to Bengal tigers. But thankfully, the number of big cats killed by poachers has plummeted due to measures implemented by law enforcement agencies, resulting in less demand for tiger products. Especially the introduction of camera traps and digital apps, which automatically take photos of moving tigers and suspicious persons moving around in the forest.
Every time I hear something like that, I feel so good, in some ways, some things are working, and so this is what drives me to come and do this. In my lifetime, if the tigers are extinct, I don't know how I'll handle that.
This report was produced by Mary Ferreira for the United Nations.
Early this morning, woke up holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. Shades of this motel keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun on my face, feeling okay. Don't let it get away, it's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day.
Hi beautiful souls, this is Nikita Winkler and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take the time in each position that your body needs to release its tension. In this session, we will stretch the hips. What you'll need are yoga blocks or books, thick books, or pillows, especially if you have tight hips. You can do this on a mat, on the floor, on a blanket, or even in your bed. Let's get started. So we're going to start on the floor with the soles of our feet together. I'm going to grab around the feet. This is a butterfly position. So in order to warm up the hips, I'm just going to flap the butterfly wings. And again, take your time. I'm going to lean forward, and here, again, if the hips are too tight, you can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath. You might even feel a stretch in the back here. From this position, I'm going to take one arm right behind me, not too far from my body. The other arm, inhale, exhale, press the hip open. And come back to center. Change. One arm right behind me to lengthen the spine, the other hand on the knee. Inhale, exhale, press the hip open. And back to center. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. And first, before I get started, I have to make sure that my body, my spine is in alignment. I'm going to just open up the neck area. And you can spend as much time as you need here, allowing the force of gravity to weigh on the legs to open up the hips. You can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath the knees. And gradually, you can take the feet even further down and spend enough time in each position. From here, we're going to go into an internal hip rotation. I'm going to spread my feet to the side, lean the knees inwards. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you don't really feel the stretch, just take your feet even further apart to deepen this internal rotation stretch in your hips. From here, I'm just going to place my feet, and without repositioning the feet, I'm going to take my arms to the side, and then I'm just going to rock my legs side to side, keeping the upper body facing up, shoulders down. And then I'm going to stop on one side, take the lower leg over the upper to add weight, to deepen the stretch. Release the leg and switch. Other side, lower over the upper. And back to center. Last part, I'm going to spread my legs as wide open as I can, and I'm going to just row the boat. So what's important here is that the knees don't lift off the floor. Make sure you row both sides. Keep the knees and both bum cheeks on the floor. Alternatively, you can just lean forward. You can hang out on the pillow. Take your time on the blocks or on your books. And that is it. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe into your stretches, and happy stretching.
God said. It's interesting to see if we have a look at John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In other words, what I see drives me to go out what I say. And I believe this is the goal of our Bible school, to teach me to see. And I dare to say what you see must change your heart. Because you cannot move out if you don't have a changed heart. By the word of God, everything is created. God wants you to speak the word so that things can be created. Say to your neighbor, created.
The mighty Zambezi River, the longest east-flowing river in Africa, a river that flows through 6 countries, home to a plethora of wild species of fauna and flora, a lifeline for many people whose livelihoods are dependent on the abundance the river brings. Globally, communities who live along rivers rely on these rivers to survive. Communities living along the Zambezi call it the river of life, bringing water for their crops and fish as their main protein source. In Namibia, a country situated in sub-Saharan Africa, the Zambezi River sits at the heart of Kaza, the Kavango-Zambezi Trans-Frontier Conservation Area, which is one of the greatest conservation areas on Earth, a stronghold for very many of our most iconic wildlife. I'm right now where the river forms the border between Namibia and Zambia. This enormous water body provides sustenance to a wide array of wildlife, bird and fish species. It's also a lifeline for human beings.
The same communities are the people also who are doing the illegal activities.
The price of fishing has gone up because fish has become scarce.
The more they finish us, the more our life gets harder and harder.
These days, it is very rare to get a big bream, unless in those protected areas.
A small group of community members, together with non-governmental organizations like Namibian Nature Foundation, are fighting back.
We have to start thinking out of the box, to be honest, because what's going to happen is going to be out of this box that we haven't seen before.
By creating protected areas, monitoring and patrolling, fish stocks have a chance at recovery. These are the stories of the people fighting for the continued existence of their communities. These are the last defenders.
Struggling with no food, no what. But we didn't stop. If we are going to do it, our young children, they'll never know the fish.